Hi guys, Ryan Fowler here with the Inner Game Group, Inner Masculine Live. My good friends Tim Costello, Jordan Kurtz. This is going to be kind of an intense show today because we got a compilation of interviews that are, man, you're going to see some trauma, guys. So, and we're going to talk about it. So, going to be a good one today, pretty intense. But Tim, Jordan, introduce yourselves. Welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm Tim with clearthattrauma.com, and you can go to my website to find out what we do. But long and short of it, we hope to repair and we hope to fix and prevent what you're about to see in this video coming up.
Yeah,
because if we don't prevent or repair it, not everybody, but generally there's a population that it's going to end up like this, sadly.
Yeah. Jordan, welcome.
I'm Jordan Kurtz with Jordan Kurtz Hypnosis. You can follow me on X at the handle there. I'm like these guys. I'm a hypnotist. I help release trauma and limiting beliefs to unlock your full potential. And today I am actually in Valencia, Spain, doing the show.
All right.
So.
Awesome.
We are truly international today. Costa
That's
Rica
it.
for me, USA for Tim, Spain for Jordan. So,
Oh yeah,
how cool is that? Viva la technology. So yeah, today we're going to look at this interview, Soft White Underbelly YouTube channel, and they're actually doing just really short compilation clips of everyone they interviewed has since passed away, and most of them by like overdose or murder or untimely deaths. But we're going to look at the people at the very bottom of the socio-economic structure in society and all the trauma they have. And when I saw this, if you're having a really bad day, watch this and you'll realize your life is actually pretty good compared to these what these people struggle with. But you're going to see a lot of trauma here. And this is what we fix in people. And honestly, if people are able to fix their subconscious beliefs, the reality is 95% of us can live above average lives, but our subconscious gets in the way. Just the belief systems that form. So we're going to look at that. And, we're going to do everything with the lens of our subconscious belief system, all of that. But pretty eye-opening and a pretty good reminder to be grateful for the things that we do have. So before we dive into that, this is going to highlight subconscious trauma. And guess what? We have solutions for free to help you guys. Hopefully none of you have trauma like the clips of the people we're watching today. But if you do, there's hope. There's even a free program. You can see right there, school.com/MindChrysalis7138. We got free material here for you to actually not just educate you, but actually help you get better. On MindChrysalis, our community, it's growing. It's very active. So it's a community where you can support each other and help each other out, like on, hey, how to celebrate each other's wins, give each other encouragement. How do you do this when you have this struggle with self-hypnosis? So helping each other with self-hypnosis, but there's actually self-hypnosis programs, no charge. And so this is all free here. You have my ebook here on how the subconscious mind works, why it keeps you stuck. We have training videos. We have a self-hypnosis audio that is one of my best audios that I use all the time for clearing trauma. It's all free for you. And we got a calendar. There's nothing posted now. I'm about to post our next webinar. We have webinars twice a month, and we actually record them. And, you can actually – there's supposed to be 4 up. We're going to upload another 2 shortly. But it's a new community. So webinars twice a month, community to share wins with, help each other with self-hypnosis, actual self-hypnosis training, upgrade your inner world. It's all free. And you just join right there and up-level your world. So we hope you guys join us. So we're going to watch this clip here. And Phil, welcome to the show, by the way. Phil's already messaged us. Tim, do you want to talk more about this soft white underbelly? We're gonna start it at 10:15 with the transgender man, just so you know, Tim.
You bet.
But, I think you came up with a clip. So any comments you have on why you chose this?
So Soft White Underbelly has about 5 million YouTube subscribers. And this video that he launched 2 days ago, like Ryan said, is a compilation of some of the interviews that he did, and all of these people in the interviews have passed away. And like Ryan said, it was generally a tragic death. Many were not natural causes. The idea of this Soft White Underbelly channel is he interviews people, and these interviews can be 30 minutes to an hour long, and he just asks them questions about their world, their life, their thoughts, their processes, etc. And it really is telling that what we're going to see now is the result of some of these people. I do want us, and this is a very, like I said to the guys earlier, it's a very voyeuristic channel. In other words, you're just sitting there watching and being amazed, and you can't turn away. It's like that accident.
Like watching a car accident, right?
Yeah,
you slow down your car to look.
You can't not watch it. You just got to watch it. So, and you learn stuff from it. So I look at this channel as a place for me to study trauma, a place to study the results of trauma. And some of the things that you're going to see are tragic and very, very sad.
Almost all, yeah.
Now, in relation, your life is fantastic, most likely, compared to theirs.
Doesn't mean you don't have severe struggles, but
right, yeah, everybody's got struggles.
Relative.
Yeah, there, yeah. So, but I want you to remember as we're watching this that these people were once infants, and they were brought into this world in a subconscious state, and they're looking for people to teach them, to guide them, to discipline them, to challenge them correctly, and to let them understand their place in the world and be productive, and then move forward once they hit a conscious state, continue to grow and learn and become wonderful, absolute great adults, find a partner in a proper manner, so on and so forth, and move on. What you see here is all of that short-circuited somewhere in their childhood. And I want you to remember that they were little kids, they were children, they were teenagers, they were all that hopeful kind of thing that we see around the world. And this small segment of society has been ruined by their parents and relatives, and they don't even know that there are other people invited in. So, Jordan, what are your thoughts on this kind of stuff? I'm sure you watch this channel once in a while.
Well, you guys will see in just a moment, but yeah, go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, I watched the whole video.
Me too.
It definitely shows the extreme side of what happens when you don't get really any of like. I'm sure all of them have the big 5 traumas that we talk about, and it kind of shows that just, I know it's such an extreme example, but they are really important because this is what happens when you provide so little of it so infrequently. And
yeah,
it's really just a product of not getting that unconditional love from and support from your family.
Well, not just not getting it, but what you get instead is horrible for these people.
Yeah.
And what's remarkable is these people mention the traumas they're suffering through without identifying them as traumas. They just know something is there and they can feel it, but they can't put their fingers around it.
Yeah, some of them do. Some of them do identify it. Most don't. But you'll see some that very poignantly understand why they are where they are. Especially there's the alcoholic who actually takes a drink.
Yes.
Was it Nikki? I can't remember her name.
I think it was Nikki. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see that one for sure. But as you guys are watching it, just pay attention to how these people look at the world, because that is their subconscious. Subconscious is just all belief systems. It's all how we interpret the world based on what happened to us between age 0 and 14, for the most part, more or less. So here we go. Without further ado, Soft White Underbelly clip. And yeah, so here we go. Let's see. And my mind just blanked on how to share it. Okay, I remember again. All right. So this lady you won't see.
That's what
It's the
my
next one.
Find a sugar daddy in your
She's a prostitute, but we'll go to the next.
yeah, pretty much.
I'd actually bit one of these pedophiles on the side of the face while I was getting molested once. And I think my punishment for that is my dad took one of these audio recordings of me getting raped, and he sat me down and he had me listen to them when I was just 4 or 5 years old. And, you know, I grew up hunting and stuff. It sounded like someone was killing a rabbit over this audio recording, just gurgling, screaming. And I remember my dad looking at me and laughing, and I brought him the recording and I set it on his desk. You know, I was just a scared kid. I didn't know what was going on. He looked at me and he kind of laughed and he says, "You don't like listening to that, do you?"
Man, the politicians buy pussy. You see how they brought the shit up with Trump and them over there
Yeah, and if you guys want to pause any of this, just let me know.
in Florida. I mean, wherever they got the lady in prison right now because the other dude, he died or something in prison. He got killed or something right there. Yeah, because everybody name is in the black book, so they don't want that black book coming out. You know what I'm saying? A motherfucker like me would have had that black book. A motherfucker would have been dropping boxes of money off at my house.
My mom. I grew up with my mom. Very strong woman. I was a middle child. My older brother was the golden boy, and my younger son was autistic. So I bore the brunt of everything her mom did to her, and she was an alcoholic.
Stop there.
Multi-generational trauma getting passed
Bingo.
down. Grandma
Bingo.
to mom to child. This guy knows. He sounds like he's been to therapy because he says my other sibling was the golden boy. You know, he knows. But go ahead.
Yeah, I was
Tim.
going to say that that's a very specific term that you probably don't.
Yeah, he's been to
Right.
therapy.
Yeah, this fellow is describing being stuck, being abused, and he probably had to do all the work around the house. He probably got neglected, so on and so forth. So what does he do? Somewhere along his life, just like Matthew Perry, when he took his first drink of alcohol at age 14, he laid back in the field buzzing and said, "This must be what normal people feel like." So this guy has spent probably most of his life trying to figure out what normal was.
And look how normal this guy looks.
Yep.
You know, a lot of people that we're gonna watch today, you're like, oh yeah, they're messed up. Like you can tell, but this guy, I mean, he could be an actor on a sitcom. Like if he was on a sitcom somewhere, he'd fit in,
No doubt.
Or if he was an attorney, he could be an attorney or something, or a doctor with powers. He can pass for any of those. He's a normal looking guy. Go ahead.
I said he could be a car salesman. You could see this guy on the street.
Yeah.
Owning the business, running a print shop, whatever.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, it was just me, and I didn't have any video clips, but I did a YouTube video about you don't know other people's struggles. Don't judge others, man, because you have no freaking clue what they've been through. And you could just be passing someone. You can have a friend, or maybe an acquaintance. You're like, what's wrong with this guy? He's such a loser. Why can't he get his act together, his crap together? Listen to their stories, man.
And the same point of that, Ryan sort of goes to that, don't judge them because you're watching their struggles, right?
Yeah.
But there are people who you can't see their struggles. Don't judge them like they're doing great, because they might be doing really, really difficult.
Yeah, some people, it seems like they're, just doing amazingly well, and then they off themselves and they self-delete. Robin Williams, case in point, Marilyn Monroe, I use that with Kurt Cobain all the time. There's others too, Chris Farley, just whatever. I mean, there's so many to name. You think they're doing fantastic, and inwardly they're just suffering. But you had something, Jordan?
I was just thinking that, so much of this, the point is that this is preventable. And I think that, like talking about the generational trauma, it's like it only takes one person to stop that generational transition
Yeah.
to kind of protect. But it also, I suppose, in another sense, you could also start it as well.
Yes.
But
Yeah, this guy needs to chop down his family tree.
Yeah, or get better. You know,
Yeah.
but again, our methods, our techniques actually help cure trauma as opposed to just talking about it. But again, we are not medical professionals, so we don't treat any, we don't treat or diagnose any illness. We just help you unconditionally love yourself, believe yourself. Mindset coaches. But yeah, this guy, I wish him the best. Well, actually, he's passed. Everyone here has passed away. So, yeah. So he's on the other side now. But anything else before we keep going?
Nope.
No,
All right.
And she would beat me, and she'd sexually abuse me.
A few years after I got into crystal meth, and yeah, alcohol is my biggest problem.
Is alcohol number one?
It's been my biggest downfall for my life.
It's hard, man, because I've been doing jail or prison all my life, man. You know what I mean? And my dad did it, my grandpa did it. I mean, my dad's still in prison right now. He's 67 years old. He's still in prison.
Multi-generational trauma, man.
And uncles and stuff like that. I look at them and I'm like, fuck, man, I don't want to be 50, 55 years old still going into violations. You know what I mean? I'm 43 and I can't do it anymore. I go in there now and I'm ready. Like, I can't do this shit. These people get on my nerves.
There's going to be a boy. Mm-hmm. So what happened then, the miscarriages, my baby was already so big, they had to cut my baby up inside me and pull him out. Unfortunately, when they cut him out, they accidentally cut a little bit of my uterus. So I can never have kids again. And that broke my heart.
So where do you see your life going from here? You're 16.
I'm probably going to be dead.
And she kind of laughs about it. She shut down, man.
How would you die, most likely, you think? What's the most dangerous, most likely way that you would die?
My hood.
Just the gang violence and the guns and all that?
Either my hood or my pimp.
You have a pimp?
Look at that.
Something like that.
Yeah, and just look at her energy, her attitude. She has no hope.
She knows that her environment is going to do her in.
Yeah.
Either her hood, somebody's going to kill her, rape her, beat her to death, who knows what, or her pimp, because she's not providing enough, or she may become not useful at one point to him.
Crazy. We'll keep going.
And just
what do you think? How highly does she value her self-worth?
Zero.
And it's not her fault. It's just the environment she's in. This guy's actually really interesting, but you had something, Jordan?
Well, I mean, you can look at all the body language too. It's all very closed off. They're always fidgeting around a lot, and so
she feels very unsafe. Yeah.
Right.
That's why she has kind of that tough attitude, don't mess with me attitude, but she's very, very defensive, arms crossed. It's like hopeless and very unsafe.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's not just her. It's almost all the people we've seen so far have some sort of body language tell, which gives it away as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now this guy coming up here, he actually has a great attitude.
Yeah,
he just happened to suffer through some tragedies, and he has since passed away, of course.
Yeah. So let's watch this guy. I really like this guy a lot too. Here we go.
The reason to be mad to the world. But I have no excuse. You have an excuse to be mad at the world and everything, because this right here, but I don't. I have to give up. I'm not giving up. I can't give up. The mind and heart won't let me.
Okay, hang on.
I'm not a violent person, but I had to defend myself. It was a duty.
Say that again.
So this guy that we just watched, my heart warms when I see him.
Yeah.
Because I know there is a diamond of an individual inside that traumatically racked body. And to us in the normal world, it would look like he has a hard time communicating. But to him, he's a little child in there having a great attitude, having the best life he possibly could have in the environment he's got, suffered some great gun tragedy, and yet here he is. So we would view that guy as a freak walking down the street, yet he is a diamond. My point exactly. He is a diamond. His worth is through the roof, and he knows it.
Yeah. I would say all these people have diamonds in them, but he actually believes it. There's a little spark in him. I'm sure he has all sorts of negative trauma too, negative beliefs.
Yep.
But he has that spark. A lot of these people, listen, the human brain is the most complicated object in the universe. Our subconscious mind processes 1,000 times more per second than our conscious mind. That's neuroscience. It's been measured. It's a fact. With fMRI machines, etc. We all have amazing potential because of this amazing supercomputer, but it runs the programs that are in it. The reason most people struggle to some degree, or really the reason all people struggle, it's just a matter of degrees, is because this supercomputer is running viruses. It has bad programs in it, and the root of those programs is trauma, and then the beliefs we draw from the trauma when it occurs, and that trauma gets internalized. And so all of these people have massive potential, but their brains are so full of negative belief systems, and that's what leads them to not rebound from the trauma, but just live these tortured lives, But he knows to a point his value. So good for him. That's freaking awesome.
Absolutely.
He got obsessed with me and stuff, and he kept attacking me. And the police and stuff wouldn't do nothing about it because, who I was and who he was. His mom was an attorney, and I was just a working woman on the streets doing drugs, so I didn't mean nothing.
I went to jail my first time.
You did?
Yeah. Yeah, that's serious.
It was a cop?
He was undercover.
Oh, wow.
On supposed.
Came natural.
Yeah.
I learned at a young age that when you sex a hoe, you in their world. But when you get in their mind, they in your world.
Bingo.
Feel me?
Yeah.
This guy is again, a damaged individual, right? Because he grew up a certain way, but that statement right there was 100% manipulation.
Oh yeah.
Bingo. He's not talking physical. He's talking about getting inside their head.
And I guarantee you, if you study pimps and what they do, they are 100,000% manipulating toxic shame. And they do it with, there can be threats of violence, etc. But it's validation, and withdrawing validation is a huge, 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 huge tool by these tremendously vulnerable women. And they're vulnerable because of their toxic shame, because they, the lover boy method with sex trafficking. It's like, it's a very popular method. You make the women fall in love with you. You give them this validation and love, and then you use that as a weapon to then get them on the streets, earning money for you, turning tricks, etc. And I guarantee you that's what he's talking about here, how he'll use that validation or withdraw it or manipulation. I mean, people who have toxic shame, using that shame is the number one way to manipulate them. It just is, because it's such a powerful, emotion tied to such a core identity belief that you can, I say play around with, but use to control them, because people want to not feel good enough. They want to avoid that feeling. So everyone here who's an addict, all these fentanyl, meth, everything, they're covering up their pain. And some of them here, you're going to hear say it. You hear talk about how they're covering up their pain and numbing it out. But you could take the other side and actually give these people validation, and then you're just a puppet master now, because they're so desperate for the validation to feel good enough and so desperate to numb out the feeling that they feel that they're worthless or bad, etc.
So
So
to explain what Ryan's talking about for all the people that may not know and not watched us a lot is that as you grow up, if you don't receive the love, affection, acknowledgement, and safety and security to know within yourself you're valuable and you don't need anybody else to validate that worth, you're good. But should you be deprived of one of those along there or many of them, you eventually develop enough trauma that tells you you're not good enough or you don't belong or you don't deserve or you're not allowed to get what you want or you don't feel safe. So then you look outside yourself for somebody to validate your worth. And this is exactly what the pimps do. They find these damaged young ladies and sometimes men, and they pimp them out because they just keep, giving them nuggets of validation and then abuse them and take it away. And it's just a cycle they go through until, like this guy says, you can sex a hoe, which means you act physical sex with her, but you ain't there. But you get inside her head, she's yours.
She's in your world. Yeah. And so people with, lots of toxic shame, they spend their entire lives trying to detach from that painful feeling, numbing out, whatever. And they also spend their it's a combination of detaching from it so they don't feel this terrible, terrible feeling, or getting validation so they actually feel good enough. And this rules the entire lives of people with lots of toxic shame. Whether they know it or not, it is their core drive is to not feel it or to feel the opposite, that they actually are good enough, getting that validation. And guys like this will use that to make the girls do whatever they want, man. We'll keep going.
And
he's traumatized too. Just
I was going to talk about
side of the coin of trauma. Go ahead.
That's what I actually want to talk about. Was he gets validation by using those women.
Yeah,
it validates and fills that void of his own traumas that he experiences. The fact that he can kind of dangle that validation, like dangling the carrot over them. That is. Yeah. I think we talked about before, that narcissistic fuel.
Yep.
Narcissists, sociopaths, kind of in a way, psychopaths too.
Right.
They feel good enough by exerting power over others, psychological or otherwise. They're like, look at me, I'm not powerless. Look at all these people I'm controlling. I have power. But deep down in their core, they feel worthless and powerless too. That's how they counter it.
That's correct.
Because it's never enough. It's never enough.
Trauma. What's that?
I agree, because it's never enough, right? There can never be, no matter how much they do that to the women, it's never. They continuously need that.
The power and the money and all of that. Look at all this money I got. I'm a baller, etc. I'm a top G. I'm a top G. They're trying to convince themselves that they're good enough, and the fuel is deep down. They feel not good enough. And so again, people with lots of toxic shame, they spend their entire lives numbing that out and then chasing the opposite, the validation, one way or another. Exerting control. Look, I'm not powerless. I'm controlling these people. I have power. I have influence. Or look at all the money I got, But deep down, they still, even guys like this, they lead tortured lives. It's different. The coping does work to a point, but yeah, we'll keep going.
Yeah, when you get in their mind, they're in your world. But if you sex them, you're in their world.
If you have sex with them, then
you're in their world.
Yeah. So it's all about control.
It's all about control. Not with just this head, but with the other head too.
Molestation go on.
Till I was 14, from as young as I can remember.
Jesus.
So
did you say anything?
I didn't say anything until I was 23. And when it was already too late. But
I got shot the hell up. I got shot all in my back. And in my back arm right here, you see bullet holes, elbow right here. I got shot. I've been shot 9 times. And one, a couple in the leg. But anyway, Peaches, that was my little heart though at the time. But I was married. But so I had her and my first wife, Anita. That's another story. Anyway.
Yeah,
Where'd you go to school?
Manhattan, Princeton for piano, Yale for running, Hunter for science. And I saw Einstein, and I was reading a book, and it took me a long time to get a brain that would stay captive. I was in love with Indian lore. That's all I had. I had been a young girl, and I was very petite in the muscle area that gets stretched. So I didn't know it, but they signed me up for Olympic training.
So I get to prison, and I'm one of those kids that wants to participate. You know, I believe in la raza. You know, in our the thing we have established in prison, right? Our Southern Hispanics, and so you know, I start doing stuff in prison. Little stabbings here, little stabbings there.
Let's stop there.
I'm just like my dad.
Yeah.
So gang members, we think of them as alpha males because they're tough, because they're, you know, they're ready to shake it down. They won't back down from a fight, all that kind of stuff. Sadly, that is 100% traumatic behavior. They are looking for a place to belong because they didn't belong to a family.
Yeah,
And
ask them
the
to talk
gang
about their
becomes
dad or
their
mom.
family.
Yeah. Yeah, ask them to talk about their dad and mom, see the other side, you know?
Yep. It's tragic. But we look at them as tough guys.
All these people.
La
All of
Raza, you know, La Raza, that's my family. The family in prison. And he doesn't mind going to prison because guess what? He's got his family in there with him. And he can participate and show his worth. Again, more manipulators inside the prison and do some stabbings for the La Raza.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. All right, we'll keep going.
Rest in peace. He knows it, and I apologized before he died. We talked it out. He understood why I did that.
Never was really interested in anything that was
Here we go.
successful.
All right, so this lady understands.
Yep.
Some of these people know why they struggle the way they do. Some don't. Some are, you know, it's subconscious. You can get connected to your subconscious, but if you just go through life without really thinking about it, you will have no idea, you know, why you struggle the way you do. This lady knows. We'll keep going.
Successful ever.
And what she's talking about here, everyone you've heard so far, including the pimps, gang members, they all have this same type of trauma in them. I mean, it might be, there's nuance between different people, but more or less what she's talking about, everyone else you're hearing today has this too in spades.
You know, I always had an interest and it always looked good to me. But I think somehow there was something on the inside of me that felt that maybe I didn't deserve success. You know?
Bingo. Look at that.
So I've always self-sabotaged, always. My whole entire life, including now. Excuse me. I have to take.
So how our subconscious works is we have these beliefs in us, and when there's something in the outside world that is a match for the belief, it triggers a feeling tied to the belief. When she verbalizes this and it gets into the outside world, now you can think it and feel bad, but when you verbalize it and talk, it triggers it more powerfully because our subconscious is designed to observe and it hears it. So she's talking about her toxic shame and getting triggered by her own words. And look at what happens. She feels the toxic shame. She starts to cry and get emotional. And what's her immediate reaction?
Take a shot, like, I'm so sorry. Alcoholism
Numb out the pain right now.
is very ugly, but it's real.
I was full-fledged.
She taking a swig next, you know. She unscrewed
I
the
wanna
cap and
talk
she's
about
about
that a
to
little
just. What's that?
So I want to talk about that just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
You mentioned it, did a good job, but I want to go back over how the subconscious is working.
Yeah.
This lady, from probably a very young age, had this toxic shame. In the minute that she tasted alcohol and that numbed a little bit of her pain, her subconscious said, ooh, that feels good. Do that again. So every time that she starts feeling that way, she has to have a sip of alcohol because it numbs the pain. Now, she's at the point now where, like Ryan said, she simply verbalizes it. And guess what? There's the pattern, right? She mentions that toxic shame, the tragic, I don't deserve what I want to get, etc. Boom, she's immediately triggered.
self-sabotage.
So triggered to the point that she immediately has to have a drink. That's where
you start to cry, and then boom,
Yep,
boom,
boom, triggered. Let me get some alcohol. And you know, alcohol doesn't numb that pain in the second that you drink it. It takes a few minutes to get into your system and numb it, but the subconscious is so strong that it says, this is what I need when you feel this way. It knows it takes a few minutes to sort of get rid of that feeling, but guess what? She's on her way to being triggered. It is tremendously, it's like a robot. Right? The program runs, got to do this.
We pursue pleasure above all, avoid pain. Toxic shame is the chief pain we avoid emotionally. And we use pleasure to cover pain or numb it out or just whatever. Coping mechanisms, you know. So Juan Correa, welcome to the show. P-Dubs, welcome to the show.
Hey, P-Dubs.
Some of our loyal watchers in the house. So we'll keep going here.
Yeah.
Boom. All right. There's a couple more notable ones still. I mean, these are all instructive.
Back then we had zip guns, 22s, 25s. I'm 52 years old. Wow. Yeah. All the dudes I grew up with dead or got life. But I was the one that was voted to get life. Because I was, wow.
And you have sex with the girls?
For surely I have sex with the girls. Who else am I going to have sex with? I'm not going to go trick.
He calls himself a pastor. That's funny.
My dick out with a bitch or a square hoe that ain't doing nothing for me. If I'm having sex with any girl, it's going to be the girl that's in my stable, that's in my life, that's making sure daddy got everything.
Well, when I was 9, my dad was in prison, and I
got to prelude this. This is probably one of the most disgusting clips on the whole thing, mainly because she verbalizes exactly what happens to her and how it goes again, and the power that her father still has over her. You think it doesn't happen to your teenage years and you get abused and you can remember it. This starts in childhood.
Yep.
0 to 7 years old, the most impactful time of your life. That's when this stuff happens. And she describes it perfectly.
And all the time, I do sessions for people and they talk about beliefs formed in childhood and they are living out the same pattern. And a lot of them don't even realize it, you know. And then I point it out and they're like, oh crap, I'm doing the same thing as a kid. You know, I know one guy, he says, my dad worked me to my bone as a kid. And he averages 80. This isn't you, Tim, by the way, but he averages 80 hours a week. Tim works hard volunteer. This other guy just feels compelled to work. He's actually a great guy. I mean, you know, he does great in many, many ways. And he's actually a really good person. But he says, my dad worked me to the bone. And he's working himself to the bone now, you know. Live in the same pattern, you know. You can change that. You can change your subconscious core. You know, I say people come to me 95%, you know, one session, substantial permanent benefit. Doesn't mean we fix everything. It means we probably fix 2 to 4 programs, you know, and you probably have some people only have 2 to 4 that are, you know, like really affecting them, and then a bunch of smaller ones. But we fix those 2 to 4 in one session and they're like, oh my goodness, you changed my life forever. I'm not saying everyone's life changing, but I'm saying permanent benefit. And then rock and roll. A lot of people come to me 1, 2, 3 sessions. They're just doing massively, massively better. And then I give them some self-hypnosis audios and stuff too. Also very powerful, very helpful. But then there's some people where they have so much trauma, it's just, yeah, they're getting benefit every session, but there's just so much. There's just like so many programs to clear, you know. So, and this lady, I'm sure, you know, would be one of them. Just tons and tons of trauma. So here we go.
I was 9. My dad was in prison, and
Jordan got something.
He told my grandma.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I noticed, it was interesting is that the previous pimp we saw before the guy right before this girl talking about. They seem like they had different mentalities. One of them, like, he does have
Now,
sex.
one pimp's like, don't have sex. You're now in their
does.
world. This other guy's like, I have sex with all of them.
Right. And so that's kind of interesting that different traumas will lead to subsequently different behavior. I mean, it's expected, but it's not one thing leads people to become a pimp. It can be very different experiences can lead to the same coping.
You know it.
mechanism.
Yeah. It's a variable world. Nothing's the same.
Yeah. It's different belief systems. And that pimp with the white hat, he said, I learned early on, maybe 13, 14, 12. Yep. Your subconscious still developing then, you know. He formed a belief and he's still following it today. He's aware of that. Many people aren't. They just whether you pay attention to your belief systems or not, you got them, and you're gonna live your life by them.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me use his phone for my birthday. So I was going through his pictures, and I found a video, and it was him raping me when I was 4. And then when he got out, I confronted him about it, and it started happening again. So.
This is why you don't just judge people and say, oh, what a loser, what a lazy bum. Look at this lazy incel. He's such a loser. It's like, dude, you have no freaking idea what happened to them as a kid. You don't. But for the grace of God, there go you, or there go I, etc.
You know, as we watch this young lady here, remember, she was a child. She was somebody's glimmer of hope, the diamond in the rough, the thing that's going to, with tremendous potential and hope. And this guy used her. Again, he was broken and he was probably used as a child. So this generational trauma rips down into her life and she cannot figure out how to get out of it. And when she confronts her dad, I'm not sure that was appropriate or not, he does it again. He has that much power over her. So she has been trained and programmed to do what he asks her to do.
Yeah. And I just want to highlight, different people respond to trauma in different ways. Some, it makes them predators.
Yep.
They're like, I feel worthless. Guess what? I'm going to dominate someone. Now I feel powerful. And that's how they cope with their shame. Others just stay small, play it safe. Others become addicts. Others get depressed. Others have super high anxiety. But at the core, it's all toxic shame based on trauma. So just welcome to the show, Skinny to Swole. I've seen you several times. Welcome back. Nigel, I think you emailed me. I did respond to your email. If you didn't get it, email me again. And but welcome to the show, Nigel. And we'll keep going unless you have anything, Jordan. Okay, we'll keep going.
No, keep going.
Okay.
Probably 40. I'm 53. So probably 40 years out of those 53 I spent in prison.
Oh, wow.
I'd be out for about a week or so. And I wind up, doing something, doing somebody a favor, putting in work, and go right back. It really didn't matter to me back then,
My mom was mentally retarded. She got hit by a truck on her 5th birthday and damaged her brain, so she had a mind like a kid, so. But I don't know why or understand why she beat me all the time and not them. And I don't know. It was a trip. I guess because I look like my father, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. And I got taken away.
I was like, it was a whole nother story. So the sex addiction bloomed when I was sober because it was hidden and it was with random people, and then bloomed again when I was on drugs because it wasn't hidden and it was with random people. And now that I'm a total-time fentanyl user, I'm asexual and have no sex at all. So it's an odd place to be in.
This
I
fella-
never thought I'm
hang
gonna
on.
be missing.
What's that?
So this addict here, he has a tremendous number of addictions.
Yeah.
Because the toxic shame in him is probably so rampant that he has a constant feed of addiction to numb it all out, to
Yeah,
sort of feel normal.
What I think is interesting, his sex addiction wasn't about sex. It was covering up trauma. And now he's on fentanyl, no sex at all.
Yep.
That
Don't
shows
need it.
his addiction wasn't about sex. It wasn't him just getting his rocks off. It was him covering trauma.
That's right.
You know, yeah. Keep going. But the fentanyl very well may be chemically affecting his libido too. But
yep.
Still, he's getting his trauma covered up otherwise. So asexual now.
Because when I started, I thought my life is gonna be over in very quickly.
You don't think the preacher's dick gets hard when Sister Robbins walks by with her fat ass in that tight shirt? He thinking the same thing you thinking when you look at her with that.
There's a food addict.
Fat ass in that tight skirt. He not thinking about how pious she is or how good of a parishioner she is or.
Do you guys know what's in his hand there? I'm not sure.
It's like he's making a cigarette. Just tobacco.
Okay.
He is. He thinking.
Yeah. Okay.
About what he could do with her if he had her alone in a room naked. Because he's a man. It's our natural instinct to do that. It's our basic human need to gratify ourselves.
Memphis a motherfucker, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's either get ate out here. You know what I'm saying? So one thing I had a natural inclination to was like, I caught on quick. You feel? Like I was observed. I asked a lot of questions. What that for? Why you cock the gun like this? Why you load the bullets like this? Why you cut it like this? When you put heat on it, why you put baking soda with it? Like, I always ask 1,000 questions. You know what I'm saying? To the point where I have to shit up sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Cause man, you can't be in the car asking questions, man. You know what I'm saying? You're around gangster, killer, pimp, rob, murderers.
You carry a gun?
Yeah, always.
Where's your gun?
It's close.
It's close.
He's not going to tell you where it is because he doesn't want to make himself vulnerable. Maybe take the gun from him, right?
Guy looks tough, doesn't he? But he's probably
tough,
one
but he
of the
doesn't
most
feel safe.
unsafe individuals around.
He's a guy who's hyper vigilant. Even with this interviewer, he's like, I'm going to tell you where my gun is, but I got one. You know,
You don't trust him.
He doesn't feel safe, period. Yeah.
Yep.
So the so-called tough guy, the reason they put up that persona, it's defensive. Look, I'm tough, so don't mess with me. Meaning, and why do they need to project that persona? Because they don't feel safe. A lot of these gang members don't feel safe. So let me be hyper masculine so you don't even try. It's a way to protect themselves.
Yeah.
As well as assert dominance if they want to manipulate others, etc. So
The such thing now is loyalty over love. I'd rather you be loyal to me than just come and scream you love me. Because as long as you loyal to me, you're going to do all the things that love makes you do. You see what I'm saying? So loyalty is the L word I use, not love.
I'm at my mother.
So this guy here, Jordan, you want to say something? Go for it.
He said lower tier, right?
Loyalty
and love. He says
loyalty and
the
love.
L word I use is loyalty, not love.
Because
Okay.
he thinks that by being loyal to him, you'll do all the things that love would make you do. And it's actually the opposite, right? The loyalty that he calls loyalty is actually falling to his manipulations. Like, you're loyal to me because if you're not, I will beat you to death. That's why you're loyal to me. And because you're loyal to me, you'll do all the things I want you to do that love would normally make you do. Now, the reality is love makes you do things because you want to do them. Loyalty in his world makes you do things because you have to do them to stay alive.
Or he'll just manipulate you, who manipulate your toxic shame. You
Yep.
know,
Oh,
you
he's
do
doing
what I
that.
say, I'm going to give you a pat on the head. I'm going to give you validation. If you don't do what I say, I'm going to trigger your shame and call you, a hoe or whatever he does to shame him,
Or
manipulate him.
withdraw that positive attention.
Withdraw the attention. Yeah. Or they use drugs. A lot of pimps get their girls hooked on drugs. you're a good girl, here's your drug. You're not a good girl, no drugs. But that's the thing, is validation can be used as a drug. For people who are heavily codependent, they have tons of toxic shame, they people pleasers, validation seekers. Validation is their drug. So it's just covering up pain, temporarily at least. We'll keep going. Yeah, there's
I guess I'll say one more thing here as well, that
we'll go to that
I
lady
think,
there. We got about 3 more. Go ahead.
I think I've worked with clients who have a tendency to downplay their own subconscious beliefs or issues because of people like this on the extreme. They say, oh, well, I'm not that extreme, therefore I have no right to complain. And I just think that's such an unhealthy mindset to have, is that you're not competing with anyone to see who's got it worse off.
Well, it's
You're
good to
only
have perspective, but yeah.
It is, but it doesn't mean that you don't allow yourself to heal because other people have it worse. That logically doesn't make any sense. It's
Well, it's delusion they live in, not logic.
Right.
Yeah, it's delusion.
Right. It's their responsibility to heal themselves, as it is your responsibility to work on healing yourself.
Yep.
And everyone's going to be at a different level. I was at a different level than Ryan, has been at a different level than all our other clients, right?
Yeah.
So you start from where you're at, and because that's all you have is where you're at. You're not at these levels that these people are at. You're not where I was. You're not where Ryan is. You are where you are. So you gotta. All you have is to work from where you are.
That's it.
Yeah, and I did a show yesterday with Teresa Kuhn, and one of the things we looked at was this neuroscientist was talking about, you can have an amazing life, but if you're stagnating, if it's the same day over and over again, you're not making progress, you can actually end up pretty depressed, even though your life is amazing. And she said one of the things that really leads to happiness and fulfillment is just constant progression, constant learning and growing, new experiences. These people can start at a very, very, very low level. And again, listen, I've had my trauma, you could go to my website, innermasculine.com, read my story. You can go through all of it. It was severe, but it was covert. A lot of these people, their trauma is very severe. But
right.
When I was progressing through my trauma, it's like I still had inner pain, but when you start making progress, if you see that you're making and it's not constant, you're going to have ups and downs. But when you see progress, it gives you some hope. And that right there, like kind of feeling this hope, kind of feeling that you're moving in the right direction, it really, really, really helps. I mean, it's helpful to anyone. If these people start to feel, you know what, I'm making some progress here. I am starting to feel better. I am starting to do better, bit by bit. No matter where you are, especially if you get your internal trauma, start improving that. I mean, because listen, if you don't improve that, many of these people, they try to improve and they're stuck. You got to fix your subconscious. You absolutely have to. And listen, that's why we have a channel. We have free resources. Listen, everyone's at a certain level of progression and a certain level. Everyone has some trauma. We're born into a coal mine, so to speak. That's the planet Earth. So, but there are resources, guys. We're giving you, we have paid stuff. Jordan, you do sessions. I do sessions one-on-one. Tim does sessions. And hey, doing a one-on-one session is a way to get the fastest, deepest progress. But there are very powerful free resources too. We encourage you guys to use it, because you can up-level your internal world. You can fix internal trauma, feeling not good enough. You can do it. If you're watching this show and you have toxic shame, understand that for you right now, that toxic shame is optional. If you have insecurities, if you have lack of self-belief, for you, that is optional, because these people don't know about the resources we have, and they've already passed away, and it is what it is. You guys know, you guys have access to the resources. So if you are struggling, please use them for your own sake.
Absolutely.
But it's your life. It's up to you. Go ahead, Tim.
I said, absolutely. You don't have to live with your trauma. You can get it passed, get it cleared, get it reprogrammed, and then you can move forward like a rocket ship.
And if these people had these resources and used them, the ones we're providing, many of them could get better too. If not most of them could get better too. But unfortunately, all these people have already passed away. We're taking this to the world to ultimately end suffering of these people and everyone else. So we'll keep going. End suffering and get your best life, man. You can have it.
Ryan, I'll add one more thing. I noticed that, I think you started with us earlier, how some of them noticed something was wrong. I think that kind of demonstrates that it's not a normal state. I think that the subconscious doesn't want to be in this traumatic state. It's easier for the subconscious mind to be in this safe, secure, I am good enough state. I think that's what we all want to be there. It's not something we have to struggle towards. It's really just about push. I think it's pushing us. This might make not so downhill. Once you get going, I think it's easy. It gets easier because the mind wants to be there. It doesn't like sitting in this painful spot.
It's a really good analogy, Jordan. That's a really good analogy. And you know what? I think you're right in that once you get the rocks out of your backpack and you're dropping them, all of a sudden you start running faster. You used the same energy before, but now you're not carrying the boulders. So they're behind you on the ground and you're running forward. So yeah, I like that analogy of your brain is pushing you downhill faster when essentially it just got rid of all the baggage, right?
Yeah.
And now it's free to feel that you're good enough and to know your internal worth and to feel safe and to feel like you belong, even to yourself. And then truly know that you deserve what you're seeking after.
Yeah. Right. And I'll say the silver lining to pain, emotional pain, internal pain, is it leads some people to at some point actually, if they have access to the resources, actually reach out and get healing and then get better.
Yep.
But there's all other sorts of ways to make you feel better. The majority of them are these addictions and all these other things that long-term lead to suffering. But, it's like, well, the addiction keeps me from having 9 out of 10 pain, but it gets it down to maybe 4 out of 10. But in the long term, the pain is adding up, although helping in the short term, But sometimes pain actually leads people to get better. So there's a silver lining.
You bet.
All right, we'll keep going.
I was 15 in the penitentiary for murder. And I stayed with the original foster family from 6 months until I was 13. I was basically their slave. My foster brother sexually molested me.
A few blocks.
It's not just, no, it's like a huge part of the city.
Yeah.
And the cops, they control it. They're the ones who are letting the shit in. They're the ones who control everything. And they act like,
spread out for miles in every direction.
Yeah. And I mean, you're going to sit here and tell me that you're doing everything you can for this city when you're the ones making the bus, you're the ones making it possible for these things to be on the street. You're the ones letting these people go. You're the ones taking them in.
Yeah, I told my girl there's something in me, man. I can't help it.
Yeah, we'll watch maybe 3 or 4 more of these. But go ahead.
I said, what are they from San Francisco or something, or Seattle?
LA.
Who knows? What's that?
He looked like a skateboarder. She looked like a band member.
They look like I would guess Seattle or Portland, but who knows? I'm probably wrong.
Hey, you know what? Nigel's got a really good question there. Procrastinating even after having the resources to change your life, what does that mean? It means you're procrastinating. It's painful. It's
painful to face your problems.
It takes courage. Let me tell you, the people I deal with in sessions, I am always enamored and impressed by the level of courage they are showing and bravery to slay these dragons in their lives, because they know there's something good on the backside. They just don't know what it is, but they know it's good. and they're going to get their swords out and fight this dragon that's dragging them down. That's the most exciting part of doing sessions. It's so exciting. So Nigel, if you're procrastinating, it's because you're procrastinating. It's that simple. Don't make it more than that, right? Face the dragon, get the help. We're all here to help you, walk you through it. We literally hold your hand. In fact, even though we're all hypnotists, we love to call it guided meditation because you're in charge. You control everything that goes on, and we just help you through the garden.
Yeah, also, Nigel, I think you're on my school community. If not, definitely join, because last Monday I did a 2-hour webinar on procrastination, and I'm going to upload it within 24 hours. So, you know, we did it live. Now I'm going to upload the recording within 24 hours, and we go deep. We look at all the stuff that leads to procrastination. It's a 2-hour deep dive. So if you want it, and also there are tools on how to fix procrastination. Tim knows, because Tim's known me when I was in my trauma. We knew each other since late 2004. And then we worked together 2005 to 2007. He knows about my procrastination. Sometimes didn't want to get out of bed till noon. That was me and my trauma. Yep. He'd come to my home. We work out of my home, and he'd come in, and I'm like still in bed at noon. You know, that was my trauma. But also, he knew there was stuff that I avoided because of fear, because of subconscious trauma, like the swamp cooler. Remember, I didn't want to get up and there was so much stuff I was avoiding and procrastinating because of trauma. You know, and but the webinar we did last Monday, which again I'm going to upload, and you got to be level 3 on school, which means you have to make some comments and interact to a point. It's not hard to get to level 3 on my community. Then you can access the webinar, and I did a webinar on procrastination, super deep dive with tools on not only what is it, so you understand, but how to fix it. So we're not just about, you know, I hear people, they go to these therapists and like, I understand why I messed up now, but I'm still messed up. You know, that's like one of the biggest complaints with normal therapy I hear from people is they understand their condition, but they're not any better. We give you tools to actually get better for free on MindChrysalis. So be sure.
But Nigel, hats off for your bravery, brother. Hat is on.
Man.
It's tough.
Well, like, I'd also say
my procrastination went from here. I probably got my procrastination 95% gone. I pretty much just, if I procrastinate, yeah, some stuff I put off till the end of the day. That's about it. You know.
And also, like, use this. So one of the free resources that Ryan gives you is that dive to the 5. So one of the things you can do is ask yourself, well, why am I procrastinating? Just, you know, like the metacognition, thinking about what you're thinking. Like, ask yourself why, and then go down that path. I'm procrastinating because I don't want to, I don't know, start looking
You're avoiding
for jobs.
pain.
I don't want to start looking for jobs, because if I start looking for jobs, it might reveal I might not find something, a job I like.
You might not get hired. You go out, you try, you don't get hired. Now you feel like a loser. It's easier to just stay at home and say, well, I could go out and get a job. And you know, say you could, it's much more painful to go out and try and then fail and say, oh man, this confirms I really am worthless.
Yep.
So people put it off.
And the job's just a hypothetical situation, but more like, it's like when you notice that you're procrastinating, because some people don't even probably notice that they are procrastinating. So at least now you're noticing it, you can do something about it with the tools we have.
Yeah.
You'll get there, Nigel. Keep plugging. Keep
Yeah.
plugging.
Watch my webinar. I'll be up in 24 hours on MindChrysalis on the school platform. All right. We'll keep going.
If you think that I'm a cheater and it's just, I can't help it. I love pussy. I like the ass, you know what I'm saying? And I tear it up.
You have a hard time being
my man.
See, he said he can't help it. It's the subconscious routines running for this sex addiction that he's got.
His conscious mind is not in control at all. His subconscious one, and that's honestly, whether people realize it or not, that's how it is most of the time. Is we're acting according to our subconscious.
Yep.
Sometimes it's just much more you know, you see it more than other times. But yeah.
Yes. a hard time. Like I don't feel in love that quick, but this one, she got me.
I love getting high.
This lady knows why she's messed up, man. She has the insights, but she's powerless to change, unfortunately, until she fixes her core, and she doesn't know how to fix it.
Yep.
Which is why we have a show.
I do. I love it. It helps me bury my feelings. It helps me numb my
There you go. Avoid pain.
feelings.
Avoid shame.
I don't like feeling. And you can't have feelings and emotions on the streets anyways. Feelings and emotions because you fucked up and killed.
So Amber, your childhood, how would you describe it?
Girl on the right, lady on the right, victim of covert abuse and tons of shame in her, but it's not immediately apparent. Go ahead, Tim.
It's immediately apparent to me because she's not allowed to speak until he lets her.
It's apparent to us.
How would you describe your childhood?
My childhood, it was okay. It was good. My parents was good Christian people. So growing up all the way until 23, it was pretty good.
And then what happened at 23?
I started smoking and doing drugs.
Oh, good.
Uncomfortable.
So listen, I was religiously a brute. Religion was used as a tool for shame for me to control me. Pretty sure that's what happened to her. Otherwise, she wouldn't have become a meth addict, or she wouldn't have become an addict. She might have tried it once and said, "Man, this is bad news," and then dropped it. You know.
And I also want to point out, go ahead.
We'll go to the very last one, but I'll let you guys comment. Then we'll play just the very, very last.
Well, can you hear me? Okay.
Yep, can hear you.
Okay, my earbuds were glitching out. So it's not like sex and wanting, that kind of stuff is inherently wrong. It's the fact that when you use that to cover up, it's any behavior you use to cover up or mask or hide painful feelings is what becomes addictive. And so it's like, and I kind of view all these people as the same. Some of them become prostitutes, some of them become pimps, some of them become crack. It's like it's all different coping mechanisms to cover up toxic shame.
Because we have to cover it up. Our brain, above all, wants to not feel that terrible feeling.
Right.
That's what the crack addict, you got to cover up your emotions. She's really, above all, she's talking about shame, but keep going.
Yeah, that was all I want to say.
So there's a really good question from Lottery Guru. Now, we can't determine everything that's going on with this particular situation, but I read a book once time. It's called Codependent No More, and I think her name is Betty Eady, is the lady that wrote it, or Melissa Eady, or something like that. Anyway, she spends all this time in the book, 2 or 3 chapters, talking about narcissistic behavior and so on and so forth. And here's what it is. Here's how to recognize it. And then it's like chapter 4. How do you deal with it? Separation.
No contact. It's a valid. Some therapists will tell their clients, these people are toxic and you won't be able to recover if they keep shaming you, controlling you. Now, again, we don't know what your parents are like, but it's a legitimate strategy so you can get better, separating yourself from people who are not good for you.
And after you get better,
that's your parents.
Yeah, after you get better, you can likely interact with them and they won't trigger you anymore.
Yeah.
And they will no longer be in control.
And that's why having, and if you want to post about this on our school community, we could comment more, but that's why having a neutral third party perspective often helps with these things, because our family, we're so emotionally invested in our family. We tend to, I think I've noticed people have a tendency with their friends, they tend to, if a friend is treating them poorly, they're a lot quicker to remove that friend from their life than a family member, because they have because they're emotionally invested more in their family. And so
feeling obligated towards your family, feeling you owe
right. And and it's very common. And so that's why it's so important, I think, for in those family scenarios, to don't talk about it with someone else in your family, because they're also emotionally invested in the outcome as well.
Yes.
And that's what we tend, right?
And you're fulfilling your role in that structure, and you're
Right.
stuck there. Yeah.
Right. And so either
ahead.
talk to one of us or talk to just someone else and say, look, or an exercise you can do is say, okay, if I had a friend who is telling me about their family, and they're telling me all these same things, what would I tell them to do? Because we're not emotionally invested in somebody else's family. We'd be able to look at them. I think that helps separate out the behavior a little bit. Because if somebody else was going through the same thing you're going through, what would you tell them when you're not emotionally invested? And you go, okay, maybe this is a problem. So I would need more. Yeah. If that makes sense.
So your question is, Lottery Guru, do we think this is normal? I know that normal is being broke and working your butt off for no goal, stuck in the rat race. So
normal isn't helping.
Separating yourself is a good thing if you're trying to heal and get better.
You got to do what you got to do. And if their behavior hurts you, they got to take accountability. If you cut off contact with them, they got to take accountability for the fact that it was their behavior that led you to cut off contact.
That's right.
They're hurting you one way or another, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, physically. We don't know your family situation, so we're just kind of throwing facts out. You do with it what you think is best. It may be limited contact is best. It may be no contact is best. It's up to you. But it is a valid strategy and sometimes necessary to cut yourself off from those who either cause your suffering or impede your recovering, or it's not a net benefit. They're not a net benefit in your life. If you got to do it, you got to do it. You're the judge of that. But it is sometimes, for many people, necessary in order to heal. Hey, it is what it is. You matter. And because you matter, someone should put you first, and you're the only one who will do it. You can put yourself first better than anyone else. And if you matter, someone should put you first. Keep that in mind when you decide whether or not to go no contact. And just put in the search term on YouTube, no contact, abusive parents. Google it. You'll find some articles that talk more about that maybe help you make a better decision. But yeah, we wish you luck, man.
And I'll also add that you have the right to change your mind too. If you go no contact for a year and you decide and you heal, and you're like, you know what, I want to, and you've healed. That's the key. It's if you go no contact and then go back in, you've changed nothing. I don't recommend that. But if you heal, then you're like, I want to see if because most people have some good things that you can take from them. So it's everyone's different, but it's also possible. Don't feel like if you go no contact, it's forever that way. It's like you can never go back. It's like you can do whatever you want whenever you want. Right. And so don't feel like it's a straitjacket. If you heal and you decide, you know what, maybe things weren't as bad as I thought, I can still interact with them on a more surface level basis, but we just don't get as involved. You set those healthy you learn how to set those healthy boundaries. Maybe that can work too.
Okay, yeah, cool. So we got one final one here. This is the very last one. This guy made it the last one for a reason. It's not necessarily the most poignant or anything like that, but there's a point to it. So I thought we played this very last one that the compiler of this video decided to put this last. So we'll watch this real quick. Oops, hold on. Okay, here we go.
Well, then we were looking at a film and they were looking at the degradation of homelessness and disparity. And I said, wow, man, those people are really fucked up. I'll never end up like that. And about 2 years ago, I was on one of the back streets here on Skid Row, and it dawned on me what I said. And I said, I'll be down. I became one of those people.
But for the grace of God, there go I.
No question.
All right. Any final comments, Tim, Jordan, before we wrap
Yeah,
it
I
up?
got one. So if you're raising children, and remember, every one of these people we saw was an infant and was a child and was a toddler and was a teenager and grew up and suffered through the trauma. If you're raising children, and quite frankly, if you're recovering yourself and becoming healed, you need to have love and affection and acknowledgement and the ability to feel safe or secure. And by the way, that's giving yourself love and acknowledgement and affection and having yourself feel safe. So if you're re-raising yourself and getting rid of your trauma, good for you. Give yourself some of that. If you're raising children, then however you do it, give them some of that and give them lots of it for those first bunch of years of their lives. That's what I got.
All right, Jordan, final thought.
I think that he said it's a homelessness problem. I think it's usually a mental health issue more than anything else. So that's
If
why
their
I think
mindset was right, they would pull themselves out of their situation. 20 years ago, I had a business fail. I couldn't pay rent. I couldn't make my car payment. Fortunately, I could move back in with my parents, but financially lost everything. And I was in, one bedroom in my parents' house. I had a fold-up table, fold-up chair. I started a brand new career, got on the internet, self-studied, turned it into a business to average $190,000 a year. Wrote a book. Just when I was growing up in school, everyone told me I was smart. I am smart. It's one of my strengths. So I did believe I was smart. I did have enough self-belief to be able to, and by the way, for many years, when I met Tim, we did pretty good for like 3 years, and then my income went way down, and then I fixed myself, and then it went even higher than before by quite a bit. But it is possible to start from nothing, learn a skill, and then just bit by bit build it and take it big. You can do it. I see people start from nothing all the time. Subconscious trauma is what holds people back from doing that. Lack of self-belief is what holds people. People are capable of doing that, but don't, because of all this trauma, all this lack of self-belief, not feeling you're good enough. You saw the lady who was an alcoholic who was about to take a swig. After she talked about how she self-sabotaged, she's like, I don't deserve it. If you feel you don't deserve a good life, you're not going to have a good life. And that's what keeps a lot of these people in these desperate situations they were in, is their deep down belief. It can be fixed. You have more power than you know. It's incredibly difficult for people with this type of trauma. So again, but for the grace of God, there go I. But we do have resources. We do have power. And if you get your mind right, even if you were born into one of these situations, you can fix your mind and then up level and have a great life. It is possible. So that's all we had. Did you have anything more, Jordan?
Nope, that's all.
Okay. So thanks for watching, guys. Count your blessings. But if you are in these situations where you have trauma, where you're struggling, there are resources and you can overcome, because you absolutely do have more power than you know. That's our show. Thank you.